Several years ago, I was asked by a couple of clients to put together something that could help them with one of their key debts that they have in their lives, and that's the mortgage. And I did this for them and for me, and I found it exceptionally useful. So, why did we do it? It's because for most of my clients, becoming debt free is one of the key elements of making certain that their business grows dramatically and they have the funds available to be resilient and be able to survive any shocks. One of the things that really helps is if you can bust your mortgage as fast as possible. So let's see what this implies. In this particular spreadsheet that we've got, it's a way of capturing what you've got and analyzing and recording any of the changes that happen. So let's put it inside here. If you take a look at what the loan amount is, what was the loan that you took out with the bank? So arbitrarily, let's put in a number, 750,000. You would obviously take this from your statement and you would put in what is appropriate. How long are you taking out for? Most loans in Australia are for 30 years. So let's assume that your loan is actually 30 years and put it inside there. Now, what has happened is when you do this, you start seeing how long it's going to take and what is going to, the time frame for getting it out, and we record it here. So we've got a balance as at this month, September, 750,000. Now, assuming that we're paying interest on this loan, as most of us do, right now, the typical residential mortgage loan starts with a 6. So I'm going to arbitrarily say a number such as 6.15%. Now it will show immediately that there's been a couple of things that have changed. It says that based purely on that interest rate, if there are no fees, no charges, we'd still be paying $886,000 extra in interest over and above breaking down that capital. So you can see on a $750,000 loan over 30 years at a 6.15% interest, the total amount paid out is $1.6 million. But it actually gets worse because many banks will have the loan associated with a credit card or a package, and they charge you a monthly fee. Now, I know that you can get it cheaper, you can get it without fees, but for many people, a fee of about $400 or $450 is not unusual. So the way this sheet is designed is that you take a look and say, when is that going to happen? So in this context, let's say that the loan was originally taken out in April, and we're paying $450 for the privilege of having a loan and an offset and whatever other accounts might be inside there. So now what has happened is that gets added in every 12 months, and we can see that happens. We can also see that there has been an impact, and this has gone up as well because it does impact the amount of interest that we pay on the loan. It also changes what is called the annual percentage equivalent rate, the APR, and that has gone from a nominal 6.15 to 6.23%. So you can see the impact of that monthly charge on your bank interest rates that you're paying. Now, you can sometimes get away with, some banks will not have any additional fees. Others will have a mortgage fee for keeping it out. And I have seen mortgages in my own house where that rate was $57 a month. So when you start adding that in, you can see we've actually broken the $900,000 in extra fees and charges through that extra $57 a month. We can also see that that has taken up the nominal monthly minimum repayment from almost $60. It's the $57 that is inside there. Now you will need to see what is happening in your own bank statement. What is the fee that you're paying, and the difference between that fee that you're paying according to your statement and the nominated minimum monthly repayment is that monthly fee that the bank is charging you. Once you've got that all clear, whether you have an annual fee or not, whether you're being charged monthly fees or not, put them in because that will give you a clear picture of the total amount of interest paid on your loan. Now let's assume that you've actually had the loan for several years and it is not necessarily the $750,000 this month, but there's actually a balance that might say you've had it for about 3 years and the amount that is outstanding is actually not 750, but say 705,000. Yeah, you can obviously you take that from the statement that is being given to you by your bank and you put it inside there. And now what we see is that the expected repayment date is June 49. So that implies that you probably had this loan for about 4 years and that's more or less where it is and you haven't made any extra repayments. So that shows you that if you just stick with the minimum repayments, you would still, from where you are now, have to pay out $1.4 million for that $705,000 that is outstanding. Now we can start seeing what happens. Once we've got this basic information in place, we can start see what happens if we do that little bit extra to make some extra repayments. What happens if we put in, say, a nominal $500 a month or $450? I can see that we've got $602, so let's take it up to, say, $397.09. Why am I choosing that? Because it says that my total repayment will be $5,000 a month. So if I put in that $379,000, what has happened is that I've actually saved almost $120,000 in interest charges alone, and I brought this down from December 49 to January 45. So I've taken about 4 years off my repayment schedule. Now that's the power of extra repayments going in. Now I've just arbitrarily taken it up from $4,600 to $5,000. You obviously put in what you can afford, and what the impact is on your finances will become quite clear from this, but it shows you the power of putting in that extra money. Now let's actually take a look at it. What happens if you get the situation where you know that you're going to get a bonus coming in from commission, or it might be a tax rebate or whatever it is, but there's some money coming back in. If you put that in and say you got an extra $5,000 that came in, and you put in that $5,000, that has taken, and I'll just show you that again. If I take this off, that you can see that $5,000 is the equivalent of almost $14,000 in savings that it created. Let's just put that back in again. So you can see there's a huge amount of savings by putting in this extra capital. It is quite significant. We've also brought this back down several months as well. Now what happens if you can do that multiple times? You know that you're going to get some money there, and there's an additional incentive that comes in through here, and you put these extra capital repayments in. You can see how this starts really driving your repayments down. By doing this, we can now identify when we will have our mortgage repaid. If we want to accelerate the strategy, obviously we need to put in a little bit more, and if we could get that up to, say, another $100 on that, and we put in $497.09, we can see that our normal payment is $5,100. Adds in, what happens is that we've taken out almost another year about it. So being able to put these regular extra repayments in has an incredible impact on how quickly you pay your loan off and how quickly you can have and become debt-free in this circumstance. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you will find that being and using the spreadsheet, you can become debt-free quickly.